Woo-wee! What a win for the Pacers. They survived the clutch gauntlet that is the Knicks. Andrew Nembhard, huge shot. Myles Turner, huge block. Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam, huge games. Everything was huge, and the Pacers are still live 2-1. Lots to get to on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Saturday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers, as always. My name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and SI, and today, boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to get to. What a win in Gainbridge Fieldhouse for the Pacers on Friday night. They survive against the Knicks. They win by 5 in an epic game. They were up big. The Knicks came back. The Knicks were up a little. The Pacers came back. The Knicks were up big again. The Pacers defense was great in the fourth quarter. Several epic moments down the stretch to get it done for the Pacers, who keep themselves alive in the series 2-1. Still undefeated home teams in this series, and there's a lot of series left to be played. And we have a lot of moments and players and adjustments and tweaks to discuss. Derek Kramer from iPacersblog joins us to talk. We basically talked about every player, every new thing, good or bad, for the Pacers in the series. Tyrese Haliburton's epic game, Andrew Nembhard's epic shot. Let's just get right to it. Game 3 win for the Pacers. No longer winless in the series. The Pacers get it done. They needed everyone in a 5-point win over the Knicks. It was tied in the last 30 seconds. Unbelievable game. We have both come down from the volume that was Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Friday night. With me now, Derek Kramer, back again in the postseason. You get your once a series time to yell about Pacers Knicks. Derek, how are you? Have you recovered? Is your hangover started yet? The NBA game after it sucked. How are you?
This is what I missed. Like postseason Pacers playoff basketball. Like it's been so long. Like this is everything you want out of an NBA playoff game, NBA, like a series, just the constant close games. Every play is so huge. The crazy big shots, like just unbelievable game. Super fun. Like memories that any Pacers fan is going to remember forever. Like this is exactly the kind of playoff game that you wanted to see.
Yeah, the Knicks got it at home, and now the Pacers get it at home. I believe I just read this, that there's been 16 games in this playoffs that have been within 7 in the last 5 minutes, and the Knicks are involved in 7 of them. Every Knicks game is insane. This game was insane, which means we have to start at the end because, well, I kind of want to start with the stars, but we're going to start at the end because of the moments that happened in the final seconds. I mean, the Knicks were up 9-7. What was their biggest lead in the fourth quarter? I don't know if you remember off the top of your head. I believe it was 9. I believe it was 9, yeah. And then they shot 4 for 19 in the fourth quarter. Pacers really ramped up the defense when the game got tight. Kind of the inverse of game 1, honestly, in terms of how the fourth quarter went. I mean, basically the exact opposite down to the number. And that allowed the Pacers to kind of squeal their way back in. The official tally on that fourth quarter will not load on my screen. It was 4 for 9. Let's go. My brain didn't let me down. And that set up an epic final couple of minutes. Pacers finally took the lead for the first time with about 4 minutes and 23 seconds to go. And then tied again at 102, and then 104, 103, and then 106, 106 after Jalen Brunson with a nasty FU shot, which he's only had, 600 of-ish this series. And at that moment, I think every fan thought the same thing, given how the series has gone. And then Tyrese Haliburton. Actually, I skipped a big play, but we'll get back to it. Tyrese Haliburton comes down for his answer. He misses. Miracle rebound from Aaron Nesmith. And then Tyrese Haliburton tries to ISO. Isaiah Hartenstein doesn't get past him. Andrew Nembhard starts to take off, trying to get momentum going to the basket on the catch. That didn't work, so he just has to step back to 30-ish feet. The NBA logs it as 31. And since I started doing this podcast, the best playoff shot in Pacers history, all time in the top 15, 10, I don't know. We were trying to discuss this before. Andrew Nembhard, bucket from 31 feet, gets a Mike Breen bang on ESPN. He had made one shot the whole game before that, and it was a layup about a minute before, which was also a key sequence to hit that shot in that moment, just a couple feet back from his Lakers game winner, an epic shot. The Knicks didn't score. An epic moment for Andrew Nembhard, and absolutely massive for the Pacers season in the series that he found a way to get that in.
Just insane. Like a guy who hadn't hit a shot the entire game gets 2 huge buckets in the last 2 minutes. Like I already have talked about in the past, like Aaron Nesmith's shot in game 3, I think it was, against Milwaukee, being like just the almost a carbon copy of the Travis Best game 5-3, where he couldn't hit a shot all game. And then the Pacers get another one of those just enormous game-winning shots, in this case for Nembhard, in a game where he couldn't hit anything. Just huge. But like multiple people talked after the game about just the mental toughness and how like he's one of the toughest guys mentally and physically on the team. Ty said it himself, like he put him in a terrible situation at the end there, like no time left. He's super far away from the basket and just steps back and nails it. Nothing but nylon. Just incredible moment.
You and I went through the Haliburton to Nembhard pass, like second frame by frame, basically. And it's like, it was just, we would have been talking about Tyrese has to go there. Like he can't make that pass in that moment had he missed the shot, but of course he makes it and everybody looks great. Yeah. I mean, Reggie takes the cake with like all the top playoff moments in Pacers history. Obviously Rick Smits, Travis Best up there. I mean, this is like, I don't know exactly where this ranks. I'd have to actually go through a list, but this is in the top 10 most likely of the best shots in Pacers playoff history. I mean, it's second round against a rival, unbelievable in a key series to prevent you going down 0-3. If they win this series, I mean, this shot will be remembered for a long time. Like Nesmith's shot will be tougher because it sent them to overtime instead of winning them the game. This one won the game, right? Like it was D1. It was absolutely epic and was tied maybe for the most epic play of the last 2 minutes of this game. 2 minutes to go. It's 102 all after Josh Hart hits 2 free throws. Late clock, Tyrese Haliburton, not a good moment. Josh Hart gets a steal. He's running. He's ahead of everybody. Haliburton actually sprints back, and I think that made Josh Hart slow up a little bit, hearing a defender on him, and that little bit of slowness. Myles Turner flies back. Unbelievable sprint in 4 seconds to get all the way back. And Knicks people are going to be listening. Blocks a shot. Very close. Josh Hart thinks it's a goaltend. It was very close. Not called a goaltend. Insane that he even had a chance that it was bang enough that he ran back that far. Unbelievable block. Siakam scoops it up, and Nembhard again on the other end hits a huge transition layup 5 seconds later. That was a 4-point swing in a tie game with 2 minutes to go. Also as big as it gets. I mean, that was huge for Myles Turner that he even had a chance to pin. It was as close as the LeBron block goaltend, whatever, on Depot in 2017. Like it was that close of a play, and it was unbelievable effort for Myles.
It's the first time I've been reminded of Tayshaun Prince and been happy about it. Like that's almost the equivalent. Like there was a little bit higher stakes, obviously, for Tayshaun Prince. Nobody could ever score in that series, so it was just obviously an incredible moment. Myles, just like Tyrese getting up in the air for the jump pass, not realizing Pascal's like stuck at the screen and then losing the ball. You're like, oh, this is like easy points for the Knicks, and Myles saves the day.
Hart was ahead of everybody.
And Myles gets all the way back, blocks a shot, and then the Pacers, that's when Nembhard gets his layup following that. And the Myles play is just outside of the 2 minutes, but Pascal basically hugs Hartenstein to keep him out of that play. That'll be the first thing you see on the last 2 minute report. So Knicks fans listening, there you go. I mentioned that.
That was missed. Heads up play from Siakam, honestly, but yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, yes, you're right. Tibbs addressed the officiating on the Knicks side after the game. I'm sure Locked On Knicks will be talking about that, but just compared to the 2 games that have already happened in this series, right? And game 1 was unique, let's say, for the last couple of minutes, but like the Pacers defense has been awful in the second half of these games. And I get that Brunson's hobbled, and so it's different. But the fact that they finally had a good defensive fourth quarter, that was the difference in the clutch. Like, obviously, Nembhard's shot was unbelievable, but the other moment for them was a block. And they forced Brunson to take tough shots a lot more in this fourth quarter. And DiVincenzo, who was, holy cow, unbelievable in this game, was 1 for 5 in the fourth quarter. He finally wasn't the best player in the world for his last 12 minutes of play. Man, he was so ridiculously good. That's what the Pacers needed. They needed defense to be their thing for one quarter. Like every second half, I've been asking about this after every game in Madison Square Garden. What happened in the second half? What changed? What did they do differently? Right? Because that's where these games have fallen apart. Finally, in this game, they have a halftime lead again, and they held it. And that's what they needed. 2-1 is so much. It's like impossible. I mean, they lose the series if they lose this game. And it was tied with 40 seconds to go. And now they have life and breathing life, and they still haven't lost in Cambridge. I mean, if they're one win away, I think, from making it 2 months without a loss in Cambridge, which is unbelievable. And they can credit these two plays, which we had to lead with, even though two other players were much better throughout the whole game. But epic moments, and game 3 at Cambridge is apparently a thing after Bucks Pacers was also just ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought the fourth quarter defense, like the Knicks, once they were up 9, they scored just 1 point on almost 6 minutes. Like, wow. They hit one free throw, missed another one, and that's the only time they scored. I thought the key for the Pacers, like, they tied the game really quickly. Tyrese had that great stretch that we'll talk about here shortly, but like, they kind of slowed down, and I noticed, like, Rick Carlisle was like, go, move the ball, like, at one point when the Knicks were shooting free throws, and I like that kind of got them going again to score enough to win the game, and their defense really held up, and the Knicks finally missed shots because they couldn't miss anything for the first 3 quarters, the whole game, especially Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, so the Knicks finished this game. Man, I'm so slow with my tabs today. The Knicks finished this game 14 for 27 from 3, which is awesome. And they were 13 for 20 at one point, which means they made one of their last 7. Like, that's how hot they were at one point in this game. And they cooled off in the fourth, but it was just, I mean, if you're a Pacers supporter, you'd say it just averaged out. Like, I tweeted this during the game. I went back to the first 2 games and they were 13 for 20. And I've tweeted so many times that I can't find it. Okay. The Knicks were 13 for 20 from deep at one point in this game. At that moment, they were 38 for 73 in the series. Over 50%. Like, that's insane. But a lot of them are wide freaking open. Like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like, they are doing a good job of generating these threes. But even with wide open threes, it's just like, good God. Finally, in the fourth, some of those stopped going in. Hey guys, short little break here so we can talk about LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, who have the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn is not just another job board. They have a vast network of more than 1 billion with the B professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else, and LinkedIn does all that, making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is simple when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, might not have the time or resources to hire. That's why they're constantly finding ways to make that process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even simpler and quicker. 2.5 million businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. You could be next. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. You mentioned Tyrese Haliburton. I feel bad that we waited 11 minutes to talk about Tyrese Haliburton because he's the lead story when he takes 6 shots. And I feel bad that he's not the lead story when he takes 26 shots. And he deserves to take 26 shots. And he made 6 out of 16 threes. And he was 23 points right at halftime. They could not stop him every time he came in the game. The game immediately flipped. The Knicks took the lead in the second quarter. Tyrese comes in. The Pacers get it right back. He was their offense, like, in so many stretches of this game. And Turner was very good, and Siakam was very good. We'll talk about them. But this was the best Tyrese Haliburton playoff game ever, and it comes right after he scored 34 points on 19 shots. He did a lot on offense. He drew a lot of attention. He got into the paint. Like, he got hurt late in the game. We'll talk about that. But I knew really early that he looked like his back was probably feeling better for him today when he had this one play where he got in the lane, he got cut off by a defender, and he had to, like, lean on one foot to get the shot, and he stayed on balance and hit it. I think it got him to 10 points in the first quarter. And I was like, okay, if he can do that, then he's feeling good, and he nailed it. 2 straight games now where he's at 34 plus points. I believe NBA History's Twitter account said that of the players who have 30 plus points and 6 plus threes in consecutive playoff games, the list is now Damian Lillard, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry 7 times, and Tyrese Haliburton. What a ridiculous stretch to do it again in a tight game. He was unbelievably good. A moment for his career to have his best playoff game in a must-win game. Bravo is where I start. What say you about what he did and the timing of when he did it throughout the game?
So many times, like, he would go on little mini runs by himself, just bursts of 7 to 8 points in a row. Yep. That kind of either kept the Knicks at bay or in the fourth quarter brought the Pacers back. Like, when they were down 9, like, he scored 7 straight, and on 2 plays where he had minor injuries, where he rolled his ankle on the steal fast break and then landed on his tailbone, he said, on the and one basket after that. And like, just an unbelievable performance, like all the aggression that you could possibly want to see. 8 for 10 from inside the arc.
Wow.
Just like he said, just getting downhill, being himself is kind of what's changed since game 1. Just everything you wanted to see from Tyrese in this game.
So the game's 3-4, then 4-6, and then he hits 2 threes, and the Knicks called timeout. That was his first big burst to get out of a tied game, and the Knicks were up 3-2 right before that. Second quarter starts, the Pacers are up 9, and their bench has been really good all series, and it wasn't good for this stretch. They go from up 9 to start the quarter to up 2 with 8:34 to go. So terrible 3.5 minutes of play. Pacers call timeout. In comes Tyrese Haliburton with the score now 35-33. Knicks score right after he subs in, and then he hits a 3, and then he hits another 3, and then he helps set up a Turner 3, and they go up 8, and the Knicks called out not long after it, right? Like, that was what he did when he checked into the game. He got them stabilized in the first half in a major way, and then again in the fourth quarter, the one you just described, when they went up 9, I have to look exactly when he came in because they were up 9 twice. But either way, scoring 7 straight points for the Pacers in the fourth quarter. Let's get this exactly right. 89-98. Knicks are ahead. Haliburton was in the game for less than a minute at this time. Driving layup, free throw, finger roll, another finger roll, 2-point game. Knicks need a timeout. How much longer after that? I can't even find it. The Pacers were the ones who called timeout right after that. Either way, that was huge. That changed the game. Every time he came in, immediate juice for the Pacers. That's what a star looks like in the playoffs, right? And the bench has been so good that it hasn't looked like that in the first 2 games. The bench was not good tonight, and he looked unbelievable in a game they absolutely needed him to. I mean, it was awesome. It was great to see because, to me, he deserved the conversations around him in the first 2 games, but I always think people get too low after his lowest games because of how he is and how he mentally prepares to see an opponent and kind of feels it out in the first game of the series. Like, that's a bad thing. That's how a series starts. But if it helps you become this, like he was in game 3 and 4 at home in the first round too, which weren't this level, but were still very good. Like, that's a good trade-off. Like, I think that you'd like to see him better in the first game, but he looks amazing right now. And this was the best game I've seen from him in the postseason, all things considered. Dominant, got to the basket, showed that he can get off 26 shots against these guys, which I think the Knicks are going to have to adjust in a major way to in their next game. And without Anunoby, I'm not really sure how they do that. I mean, he was just messed up. He was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think he said 26 shots is probably the most he's ever taken in his life.
Let's fact check that while you talk. Continue.
Yes, you can go ahead and check that out. But just his intensity in the first half, like seeing how much he's just screaming and yelling at DiVincenzo, who obviously answered him back plenty of times over and over again with his own big baskets. It's just so fun. Like the picture where he's screaming in game 3 of round 1, that was the type of energy he was bringing from the jump in this game. Just so phenomenal to see. And like he brought up, they know what it is. If they lost this game, they had to play desperate, and he completely brought that type of energy to the game.
Tyrese Haliburton, on the 0% chance you were listening right now, you are wrong, sir. He has taken 24 or more shots 4 times before this game, all in the regular season. This is his first playoff stuff. He took 24 in a game 3 times last year. Do you remember this game this year? It was this season in the regular season, and the Pacers lost in Miami, the first of the two before the Bruce Brown explosion game in the second game. He had 44 that night, November 30th. Tyrese 15 for 28, 44 points, 10 assists, and they lost his minutes by 6 in a 10-point loss. I don't know. I'd like that out somehow. 28 is his number to beat, but I don't think he necessarily is thinking about that specifically. So his second most shots ever in an NBA game and his most shots in a win for Tyrese Haliburton. He always talks about this, like being aggressive and sometimes going against himself and being a little more selfish. That's what it looks like. I mean, maybe not to that apex of shot attempts all the time, but you can get up 16 threes and make 6 of them. That's what Tyrese Haliburton looked like, by the way, when he was that guy before the All-Star break that was just like unstoppable. Was like he would take 10 to 15 threes a game. I'm not saying he should do that all the time in the series, but if he can get up those good of looks like he did tonight, then yes, he should. He should be taking that many threes. I put on the side, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not, I'll explain it.
I got one more on Tyrese.
Oh, go ahead.
So I'm just thinking, like, like a lot of times he'll take the first half of a game and be kind of like facilitating, feel it out. It's almost like he's taking these game ones of these series as like feeling it out, which obviously you don't want to see a player take an entire game to feel it out, but it's almost felt like that. Like this whole series is the entire game trying to get to the 4 wins. And like the game one's been him like feeling out this new environment of the playoffs, feeling out his opponent, and then picking it up. Like obviously that can't continue as you can't waste that whole first game one feeling it out. But that's kind of what it's reminded me of with those first 2 game ones and kind of how he sometimes approaches regular season games, with the first half being kind of facilitating feeling and then jumping into his aggression in the second half a lot of the times.
That's the flip side of something I always say. I always say with him and Carlisle, they're very good at adjustments, which is why usually, not this series, but usually the Pacers are very good in the third quarter. But that's also because they're not as good in the first half, right? So it's like ideally you'd be good at both. But this is a strength of theirs, and they're a 47-win team who just won a game in the second round. Okay, let me do the same segue I was about to do before you added a very good point. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If you're not, the side of the screen says stars, plural, meet the moment. Best Siakam game this series, not even close to any of the rest. He hit a shot before the halftime buzzer. That might be the most skilled package of moves I've seen him do consecutively, where if I try to describe them all in a row, you won't understand where he was in the court or where he ended up. But he like spun one way and then went behind the back the other way, and then somehow was facing the opposite direction of Josh Hart and then turned around and just shot it. And it was unbelievably cool. 9 for 14, made a 3, and everybody, Pascal Siakam made 7 of his 9 free throws, entered the game 4 for his last 14. I hate that I have to make that such a big deal, but it's been a very big problem for him. And these games have been close. They matter a great deal. That was a big. He got the offensive board, 7 boards in total, 26 points. Helps to not be guarded by OG Anunoby. Helps when you're also a very good player. Great Pascal Siakam game. And again, they were tied with 20 seconds to go in this game. They needed every single good thing that happened. He was great.
Yeah, he was fantastic. The Pacers were obviously like leaning on him, especially after Tyrese landed on the tailbone. They were looking to get him the ball in those kind of elbow range for him to make his usual buckets. He missed some that like I think he would probably say that he should have made late in the game. But when he did get fouled, like he made those free throws, and like even Carlisle brought it up, like him at the free throw line was huge tonight because they know how much that's been an issue in the playoffs. So it's great to see. I think he missed 1 in the fourth quarter, I want to say, but still like 4 out of 5 or something like that. At one point, Tyler Smith next to me was like, it was when he made the and one shot to tie the game. If he made the free throw, if he makes this free throw, they win the game. I was like, okay, so you think there's a 40% chance we're going to win this game?
He made it.
But he made it, and he was right. They won.
You know who I'm going to double check. I believe that's what the score was. I want to make this joke correct, and if I'm wrong, now I'll look stupid. You know who else loved that Pascal Siakam free throw? Crap, I'm wrong. Oh, no, I'm right. Okay. You know who else loved that Pascal Siakam free throw? Lawler's Law. That got the Pacers to 100 to 99, first 200 wins. There it is.
That free throw was just 99.99, wasn't it? Or
Yes,
did he make another one to make it?
Oh, yeah, he had the and one to tie it at 99, and then later he hit a free throw to get it to it's a different free throw. Well, look at that. Either way, this works out. I don't look. Call Myles Turner star if you want. I mean, whatever. He's been very good a lot of the playoffs. He's for sure in their big three of players. Whatever. He was also very good in this game. We just talked about his marquee moment on defense, having a massive chase down block. I think it's good that given what Myles Turner's career with the Pacers has been, he now has a marquee playoff block. Like in a big game like this, he's had some good playoff blocks before. 21 and 10, the only double-double on the team, 3 blocks, plus 24 for Myles Turner against a very good Knicks front court. Isaiah Hartenstein's been awesome this series. Precious Achiuwa actually played pretty well, I would say, all things considered in this game. Myles held up against everybody 35 minutes. He played that much and only fouled 3 times. Other guys were in foul trouble. He was not. He was huge. The fact that he could play that much was massive. He was very good. Overshadowed by the stars, but an excellent game from him as well that I wanted to get in here.
Yes, Myles Turner was great. Great to see that block with Roy Herbert.
Wow.
Roy, yes, I don't know. You just rewinded the podcast a little bit. That's what happened there. Roy Hibbert, obviously, famous best play in his career, the block on Melo against the Knicks in the second round. Myles has his moment with blocking the shot against the Knicks in the second round. Very cool to see Lance.
Wait. Finish that sentence perfectly. Myles has his moment against the Knicks in the second round with Roy Hibbert wearing his jersey, watching the game.
Yes. All of it. Super fun to see those guys watching on, and Turner rose to the moment again at home. It's just had so many big moments so far in this playoffs that it's really been just can't help but be happy for the guy after all these years and having these great games in the playoffs.
One more break here, guys. We could talk about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The winning formula for championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and plenty more. Whether you're into speed or power or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's get to the unique stuff from this game that's certainly going to matter going forward. Some adjustments, some not as good stuff for the Pacers in this game that's going to matter a great deal. Thing one, I wrongly predicted this, and I would like to explain why I think I got this wrong. Aaron Nesmith on Brunson a lot in this game right away this time, and he stuck with that a lot. My argument before this game was I don't really know if it matters who's on Brunson. They're going to send 2 to him a lot. What really matters is how they rotate behind the play. What ended up happening a good amount in this game is Aaron Nesmith is just a little taller than Andrew Nembhard, and he's a lot taller than TJ McConnell. And so his length means there's a little split second of time it takes for Brunson to get the right pass to the next guy to set up that 4-on-3. And that time helps the rotation. It helps the fourth player recover in a play. So in that way, it did help the 4-on-3 by putting a different player on Brunson. So that's where I got that wrong. Great choice by the Pacers. It clearly worked pretty well. Brunson was still immensely good. I mean, God, is he unbelievable. He had 26. It took him 26 shots to get there. But I mean, the amount of attention he requires is ridiculous. I liked that adjustment. They won the game. I think they're going to stick with it in future games. What did you think of that?
Yeah, Nesmith, I thought, especially in the first quarter to start, he was phenomenal against Brunson. No free throws for Brunson in the first quarter. 1 for 5. Like, he did have he looked like he tweaked his foot and was out for a little bit of that first quarter. But like, just unbelievable. Like, I thought that the problem with Nesmith being on Brunson would just be the fouls would come instantly, is what I honestly expected. And like, Nesmith did a great job not committing many fouls on him the whole game. Awesome performance by Aaron Nesmith. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to see a lot of that again. The one thing I think that it might have caused an issue, like I wonder how much the bench struggled because of the switch in that.
Bingo.
Because Nembhard playing with McConnell instead of Nesmith in that spot, like they had only played 6 minutes together all series, and they were like -1. I looked it up during the game because I was surprised at how much they had been playing together in this one. And like the kind of just the chemistry and the mix of skills that are on the floor just don't quite work as well when it's Nembhard and McConnell compared to Nesmith being in that spot instead of Nembhard.
And their first subs, I actually typed this down. Usually it's McConnell, Toppin. That's it, right? With like 6:30 to go. Shepherd was a part of that this time because of that Nesmith part of this, where they're changing that up a little bit. And I thought, that's interesting. But the bench has been so good. And a lot of people argued, including me, like, yeah, maybe they should turn to them a little more. Whoops. How many things did I get wrong in this game? My God. But they went to that, and the bench, I mean, they stunk. That group was bad in this game, like meaningfully terrible for a lot of the game. And like these guys deserve the benefit of the doubt. They've been good all playoffs. Shepherd was -3 in his 15 minutes. He was 1 for 5 from the field. This was his first bad shooting game of the series. McConnell, his minutes, they lost by 19. Toppin his minutes, they lost by 17. Jackson his minutes, they lost by 19. That's not a fair reflection of like how they played, but they were all together a lot in minutes that the Pacers did terrible, right? They really needed juice, and some of that slight rotational tweaks. Some of that's them just not playing as well. McConnell was 3 for 10. Toppin was 1 for 4. Jackson was fine enough. He had some defensive like moments in this game that he didn't have earlier in the series. So that was the biggest negative change from the first 2 games. This one by far was like, oh man, that was their thing, was the bench units really connected and played so good. Maybe the Knicks are just more prepared for it. I'd have to look to see how they changed up their defense against that group, but those groups did not do well at all. And that's a big loss for the Pacers. They've been so good so far.
Yeah, and some of it just like TJ missed probably 4 shots that were just right at the rim and just beefed the little bunnies. That you would have to think like the Pacers got a good shot. You're good with that. Toppin just couldn't get anything going after just complete awesome revenge games, really, in MSG. 20 points in 20 minutes in game 2, like just unbelievable performances. Just couldn't get anything going. I think the whole bench was 7 for 22 total, so they made less than a third of their shots, and that's including, I think Ajax was 2 for 3, so he's helping the percentages there with his just tiny little 3 shots. Nobody could get anything going with the bench, and they had been so good. It's so bizarre to see like the bench be bad at home, and then they were so good on the road. Usually it's the opposite in the playoffs, obviously with the role players. So yeah, it was good to see the starters like just pick up the slack, as the bench had done so much during the regular season, especially after the All-Star break.
Just in general, when you think of the Knicks, the things that have mattered, I wrote this for my game 2 into game 3 story. They've been doing the Knicks things, right? The Knicks have Knicksed in this series was my crappy headline that didn't make any sense, so I changed it. Leader in offensive rebounds tonight, Myles Turner. Leader team in offensive rebounds tonight, the Pacers. Finally, for a whole game, they've been good in the first halves and not the second halves. They out-rebounded them on the offensive end 13-10. And then they only had they had 10 turnovers to the Knicks 13. So altogether, that's an extra possession or 2 in a series that the Knicks have been dominating in that category. That ended up being significant. That's not, I don't know if that was much of a tweak versus just like good focused play on the glass and in the turnover battle, but that was pretty significant. Okay, no OG in this game for the first time. So that obviously was part of Siakam playing well, and Josh Hart played the 4. Oh my gosh, the biggest thing that happened in this game, Josh Hart sat for 5 straight minutes in the third quarter. It was crazy. I actually tweeted that it was wild that he was out of the game. So I have to give myself a W and an L. I told Derek before the game, I had a prediction with OG out that their 7th guy would be Jericho Sims instead of the classically predicted Alec Burks. It was Jericho Sims at first, then he wasn't very good, and then they went to Alec Burks, and Alec Burks was really good. So they're probably going to stick with not what I said, although they did go to that at first. I think Tibbs likes that size. I don't know if I expect Alec Burks to be that good all the time, but he was really wiggly. Like, he got to the line a lot. Like, the shots or whatever, they'll come and go, but if he can get to the line for 5 shots, he'll play. So they they defended like okay without Anunoby. And I think for the Pacers, that should be a little concerning that the Knicks were able to keep up and have enough firepower to keep up without a guy who had 28 points and is their best defender. Maybe the Pacers will play better too, obviously. They now have seen what the Knicks rotation will be, but I thought that was noteworthy that that's the way they handled it and that they could still do fine enough on that end of the floor.
Yeah, Burks matched the entire Pacers bench in scoring.
Golly.
So 14-14. So just like, he's had some good games against the Pacers, like as a Piston, as a Knick. So it's not completely surprising. Obviously he's an NBA player. He's a scorer. He did what he can do. I don't think he didn't miss a shot until the fourth quarter.
Right.
And he made 2 threes that were in that stretch where the Knicks only scored 1 point. And then I think he got pulled for McBride. They tried McBride instead for a while. And I think Burks might have came in.
They didn't want to close with Precious. It felt like for a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole script flipped from what it had been in the fourth quarter. Like the Knicks were the ones like gaining strength with the offensive rebounds, and the Pacers had another flashback to the Bucks series where they're just getting multiple offensive rebounds in a row. Still can't score. They don't end up scoring. They didn't get 5 in a row this time. I think they got 3. But they got stronger as the game went on the glass. Like maybe the Knicks finally ran out of gas in one of these games, but it seems like it's impossible. They're the Energizer Bunnies. They just never stop going. But I don't know. Maybe Hart sitting for those 5 minutes made him more tired. He doesn't make any sense. So maybe it's that. I have no idea.
He was awesome to start the fourth. Right. So maybe not.
I don't know. Yeah. He's been incredible this whole series. Like he only took like 7 shots tonight or something. Like he didn't have as many opportunities to score.
Can you just say his rebounding number, please, so everybody knows what we're talking about?
What was it, like 18?
18. Holy cow, man. All defensive. Like it's unreal.
Insane. So he didn't get any offensive rebounds today. Like that's a W for the Pacers.
18 defensive boards. 18 of the Knicks' 31 defensive rebounds were Josh Hart. He's 6'4".
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
Just absolutely insane. Like you can't say enough about.
I know.
Like these Knicks guys.
It's funny because I feel dumb. Like I'm asking Aaron Nesmith, like, what do you do? Do you box him out? Like it's like it doesn't matter. Obviously, if someone figured out how to stop him from rebounding, they would do it. He just gets him, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. The fact that he didn't get any offensive rebounds, though, that's crazy because you know how much he's trying to get every rebound he can possibly get. I don't know. It's just I don't remember what else we were talking about.
Well, you talked about the Knicks' offensive rebound possession. That made me remember something Tyrese said after the game. Made me laugh. He was talking about Andrew Nembhard's shot, and he said, I'm glad he had this moment because Andrew was hoping that his playoff moment wouldn't be that he got a bunch of offensive rebounds on a possession that didn't lead to points. Now he has a cool playoff moment. That was funny. So I think the bench is the biggest thing to watch and for the Pacers in the next game because a lot of the other stuff they tweaked worked. Obviously, they won the game. Can they actually deter Brunson to this level, right? He looked like this is what Brunson looked like in game 1 and 2 of Knicks Sixers, but they won those games. And then he's been on a heater ever since. This was, I think, his worst from the field percentage game since. And now, of course, he's dealing with an injury too. So if this is the level he is at his current health status, that's obviously huge for the Pacers. But if he's a little warmer than 38.5%, that's obviously significant for the Pacers. He had 6 assists, 5 turnovers. Like this is definitely his worst game of the series. If he's better than that, that's going to be huge. But can his improvement offset the? I keep saying DiVincenzo can't keep doing this, and then he keeps doing it. The DiVincenzo, what should be regression coming. Oh my! I mean, he wasn't good in the fourth quarter, like we said, but holy smokes, was he good in the first 3 quarters? So, figuring out if they even can, if maybe him doing this is a natural consequence of how they want to slow Brunson. But every game, he's just lighting him up. It's crazy how good he's been.
Yeah, I had 35 after he hit a 3 to put the Knicks up 9 at the beginning of the fourth.
Oh God, I thought that could be like oh boy, here comes a bunch of DiVincenzo stories like dagger level. It was crazy.
Yeah, like I think one of the biggest shots in the game was that like he airballed a corner 3 with about 6 minutes left. And I was like, oh, he can actually miss a shot. Like that's a possibility.
Yeah.
So like I think he went 0 for 4 after that made 3. in the fourth, just everybody went cold. Like the Knicks hadn't been that cold all series for any long stretch, or like the Pacers. That was the first time the Pacers got like a series of stops over and over again in the 3 games
in the series. Yeah.
Yeah. So just an incredible game. Like as far as like game 4, like you still would think like, okay, the Knicks went 1 for 7. They might still be due for a shooting regression with how much they've just made everything in these first 3 games. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep up this just ridiculous level. Like, yes, the Pacers, like you said, the Pacers defense has been bad, but just hitting wide open threes at the level that they are hitting is still just
insane,
otherworldly, just nuts.
Yep. Yeah. So game 4, I think the headliner is going to be, can the Pacers bench be better? Because that was what held. I mean, if the Pacers bench was at the level it was at in game 1 or 2, they win this game by pick a number, 15, 20, And I think it's impossible to beat the Knicks by 20. I think there's some sort of like earth gravitational pull that means these games are always within 9 or less outside of like one possession. That's, I think, the key thing. And then if the Stars can't maintain this level, which maybe is unreasonable to hope for if you're a fan of the team, because they were both unbelievable, then who else can step up and meet that, right? Nesmith was great defensively, but can Nembhard, be a little more accurate from the field? Can any bench guy fill that role? Because all the rest of the starters were above 50% from the field. And then is there anything they can do to DiVincenzo that doesn't hurt them against Brunson or someone else? Achua and Hartenstein were 5 for 7. Hart combined, Hart was 4 for 7. Like, maybe this is just how it's going to be. But if they're stopping Brunson and they win, maybe they keep going that way. But that's, to me, the game 4 things to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's just like Nick Nurse said towards the end of the series in the first round, like nothing. He's just decided nothing matters. Like whatever happens, the game seems is going to be close. 2 minutes left. Like something crazy is going to happen. Like every one of these Knicks games that they've been in the playoffs, like you said, just bangers of games, just awesome.
Yeah, if you didn't care who won this series, this is your favorite series of the second round. Like, it's not even close. And Sixers Knicks was your favorite first round series. So you've just been watching the Knicks over and over again. Yeah, they should put this theory to the test. They should get the Knicks up 9 and then sub in you and I. And then we'll hit 2 threes and then we'll sub out of the game. Because that's how this goes. That's just what this has been.
I think that's how we could disprove the theory if we come in the game and anything happens.
Like, you know how the moon affects the tides somehow. I don't know how that works.
Did you see the Northern Lights were out today in Indiana?
See, that is maybe a part of it. There's some earthly thing making these games impossible to separate ever. Like, even when it's an 11-point game in the first quarter, I'm like, whatever, give it 5 minutes. Like, it won't be. It's just how the Knicks are and how this series has gone. So all these adjustments matter, but I think every game is just going to be crazy. And my lasting memory from this game, beyond the many highlights, will be Myles Turner's insane face as he celebrates with Andrew Nembhard. It is. He somehow looks so mad and so happy at the same time. It's like it's a picture's worth 1,000 words. It's very impressive.
He's like giving his best Forrest Whitaker eye. Like, involuntarily. Like, it's phenomenal.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, check out the Pacers Twitter page. They've
it's everywhere. It's the USA Today photos have it. The picture in the background of the box score on NBA.com has it. It's everywhere, man. It's like it's the perfect summation of playoff emotion, because Tyrese is smiling, and Andrew Nembhard's so happy, and Myles Turner is like like, oh yeah, I can't even. I don't think I can scowl with my eyebrows. I can't even do it. It's like the perfect summation of human emotion of playoff basketball. Bravo to Myles for a good celebration, and to Andrew Nembhard for the shot of his career so far. That's just his spot apparently late in these games. Lakers will remember that one well. And the Pacers at least survive to game 5, one more win, and they'll guarantee themselves 2 more in Gamebridge, where they again haven't lost in forever this season. Derek, thank you for the time. What a game. Merited 2 people's discussion with the 10-ish thousand moments that happened in the game. Where can people find you, and what you're going to have to say about something from this game? Andrew Nembhard, Siakam, Haliburton, somebody. A lot of guys who could be the story.
So many possibilities for me to write about. Fun times. You can find my work at iPacers.com. Follow me on Twitter at iPacersblog. Thank you for having me, Tony. Always a pleasure.
It's way past Derek's bedtime, so it's time for
soccer games coming early in the morning tomorrow for the kids.
Yeah, I do not have that, but you know what? This was fun. This was great. I think I'll do a show before Game 4. I'm not sure. I have family coming into town tomorrow, but I like this whole no days off thing in the playoffs. It's been fun, and I have a good rhythm. So probably back tomorrow. Definitely back after Game 4, obviously. I would like to do a conversation with the Knicks person during the series. I've been slacking on that. Travel has made it difficult, but we'll do my best. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed the game. See you for Game 4 on Sunday. Till then, everybody, have a wonderful day.